Wait.
Hey, I don't know what's going on with my phone. What the hell? What the fuck is this? Why is it just my... Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
I don't know why it's just this picture. Start video. All right, there we go.
There you go. How's it going today?
Oh, not too bad. About yourself?
Another day.
Another day living the life.
It's one of these days I feel like I did nothing all day.
I did 4 auditions today.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah. 4. Well, same movie.
Like this or in person?
No, you have to film them. So Bronson's helped me. You have to film them. They give you the scripts and all that, and then you have to do your slate, and then you have to. They give you the parts to read and all that. So I got a really good agent. So I got one of the best. I got one of the best agents, if not the best agent in Calgary. So
does he do?
Thanks to doing that last show, the girl that I was the lead with, or the mom with, she actually is an acting. She actually teaches acting, and this was her agent, and so she was really impressed and got me to work with, got me on her roster. So nice, good work.
Is it theater and television?
No, she doesn't do theater. It's mostly like commercials and TV auditions.
Nice. Could be for Marvel, and you won't know it.
Yeah, film. So who knows?
Could have been reading for Marvel. And they'll just phone you and say you're in.
Whatever comes to Calgary. So I mean, I'm hoping, in this next little while, if they start doing Black Summer, I think the Last of Us is wrapped up for now. But
Ghostbusters 4.
Ghostbusters 4. Yeah, that one employed a lot of people out here.
Oh yeah, shit.
Yeah. So anyway, I got the 5 death wishes, and then just the pick of the best thing. And again, just in order not to, I mean, I'm going to just go on record and say this: that there's only one Charles Bronson film I really don't like. And
what's that?
About that? Chino, or it's called Valdez Horses.
Well, no, I mean, I just didn't feel. I mean, it's like when the last conversation somebody had, I think it was Kevin Smith, and they're talking about the best of Patrick Swayze, and they go, well, we can't include Red Dawn or The Outsiders because it's not really Patrick Swayze making the choice. It's he was cast in an ensemble, right?
Yeah.
And so I mean, well, how do you count? Credit Chuck Norris or Charles Bronson for The Great Escape? He's just in
no. So these are all ones that he quite obviously headlines, and again, the majority of them are after he's 60 years of age. So, which is kind of funny.
His Travolta rebirth.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, that Death Wish really changed his life. So, that completely. So, I mean, he was doing basically. I mean, he did a couple of other pictures during that time, or before then. Really, he had nothing. Like he hadn't done anything for a while of an ensemble work. He hadn't really led anything on his own because that was 74, and I think he had done. I'm trying to think. Rider on the Range and Violent City and all that. I think that's all 70s. So Death Wish is 74, and then we don't see any. And then of course that kind of. I think he was 50 whatever at the time. He was.
Yeah,
I had a note here that when he did Faces of Death, when he did 5, he was 73 years old.
Yeah, like
when it was released. So, and it was
Well, and he's and that one. Well, I mean, sure, we'll get to that one, but his leading lady's 40.
Well, it's funny because when he's apart from
and that's a senior for women in Hollywood.
Yeah, I think Kay Lenz was like when they did part 4. Kay Lenz was like half his age, so she was like 34, and he was 66, I think, at the time, or 68. So
yeah, like his daughter in the first one would be legitimately older now. Like even the actress would be.
Well, the first time they took his wife, the second time they took his daughter, the third time they took his army buddy, the fourth time was basically just his girlfriend's daughter just OD'd, and the fifth time they're just muscling in on his girlfriend.
Yeah, well, so do you want to jump into the wish list first?
We'll do wish list first. So the first death wish with Charles Bronson and Hope Lang plays his plays his wife. You got Vincent Gardenia, and of course, this one's known because it's one of Jeff Goldblum's first stage or film credits, which is kind of cool. He plays one of the goons on there. This one kind of revolutionized everything for Charles Bronson. He was he was an actor. He did mostly ensemble work, so you saw him in like Magnificent Seven in the '60s and The Great Escape and all that. And then he didn't really do anything. He did lots of little stuff. I think in '70 he did a movie called Lola, which was basically a remake of, which is basically a telling of Lolita. I can't even remember who the woman was in that one anymore. Anyway, didn't really like it. He kind of plays the James Mason role, which kind of creeps me out. So needless to say, I didn't spend a lot of time on that one. But
that's a Richard Donner movie.
Yeah, this one there put him right on the map. So as it kind of typecast him as the vigilante or the action hero, if the other ones hadn't done that before then. So I mean, it's the story of a mild-mannered architect whose wife and daughter are savagely beaten. The wife dies, and the daughter becomes a vegetable. And it's crime-ridden New York City, and it pushes him over the edge. So of course he gets his gun. He was a conscientious objector in the war, and now he's going to grab his gun that he hasn't used for ages and get revenge. So I mean, that's to simplify the whole thing, but a hell of a story. I mean, now if you've watched it lately, it's a movie that could really use a good remastering because it's so funky right now, so groovy, that it's dated really terribly. Even though the story's awesome, like I want to sit with my son again, Bronson, and say, here's the movie. And I can tell you, after I watched it a few years back, and I can tell you that rape scene with Jeff Goldblum and Hope Lang, that is still like a savage scene. And actually, I can say it's not a part of the movie I actually like to watch because it's so savage.
Well, I would have caught this, certainly after it came out, because maybe 8 years after it came out. And it was even foreign to me then. That's how easy it was. You just grabbed their address out of the bag of groceries. That would never happen. And even by the mid 80s, that there's no way, if for no other reason, the same reason you don't like going camping after you see Deliverance. Same reason we're not doing the address on the bags anymore with people, because it just leads to Jeff Goldblum coming in and
we even have a peephole. He's got his eye up against it like that. I'm like, I'm not letting you in till you back up, pal.
Yeah.
So I mean, things averted, but I mean, it's a horrifying scene, and I mean, the movie is so well done, and Charles Bronson's character is so believable in it. Yep. As he comes on there. Also mention that I can never remember his name. He plays Angel in Rockford Files.
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember his name. Anyway, he's
Stuart
the guy
Margolin.
God, it's Sonny something, isn't it?
Stuart Margolin.
Okay. Yeah, he of course he's the one that takes Paul Kersey, Charles Bronson, out to the gun range, and you get the backstory of like how he was a conscientious objector in the war, but he was raised with guns. So
that's the best scene. That's the best scene in the movie. If you're picking, if you're looking at it from acting and all that pace and shit, easily.
Yeah. Well, that's related.
Takes you out of the movie, but it's great.
Yeah, because the guy playing his son there is kind of keeps calling him dad. I wanted at some point to say, stop calling me dad. I'm not your real dad. I'm your father-in-law, and my daughter's now a vegetable. So piss off. But they're cooking up liver. Again, he's got the music turned up. He's cooking liver. How do you want your liver? Everything's fat. What do you want me to do? Moan and groan for the rest of my life? Medium. I'll make it medium.
Then we just whip these quarters around in my sock.
Yeah, splat. Take the face. Anyway, really, I guess what this could be, even the way they handle this, with Vincent Gardenia saying that, good, for God's sake, we don't want a martyr on our hands. Ship him out of town so he becomes somebody else, because here he is cleaning up crime. Scatman Carruthers even has a small part in it. You saw him real good, didn't you? And then he says, you're full of shit. Because he's getting beaten up, and Charles, of course, saves him. This is just such a believable movie. And again, even the way they handle the politics of it, saying that, when they catch him, like, we don't want a martyr. We got to do something with this guy. Give him a ticket out of town, whatever. We don't want him. So that segues to the second one. So all the even ones are done in LA. All the odd ones are done in New York. It goes back and forth.
It never occurred to me. Although, the fifth one, I'm pretty sure takes place in Toronto. But
they call it is Toronto, but they're calling it New York for purposes.
But we'll get to
So,
that
but
one when
that's
we
our-
get to that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're going-
I mean,
they're going back to
the first one to me is so, yeah, believable. I mean, forgetting it turns into what it turns into, and you got Charles Bronson, who already by that time was defined as an action star in a way. Yeah, it's as scary as any horrific movie you're going to come out with that year or whatever, you know, around that era, Texas Chainsaw and stuff, because yeah, all they do is pick up a bag of groceries. And yeah, him and the kid there, or his son, when they go to the hospital, and how's your wife? Well, your wife's gonna be okay, but she's, you know, been knocked around. And how's my wife? Well, she's dead.
He didn't make up. Sorry, Mr.
Matter
Kersey.
of factly, right? And
Yeah, because I mean,
back then the ambulances were just white vans.
well, pretty much. And I mean, yeah, and of course, run by contract too. But I think it does for that kind of street crime what kind of Jaws did for sharks, right? I mean, this is so plausible. This could happen.
Street crime,
in our
yes,
own backyard.
yeah. Street harassment, because it turns what would normally be idiot muggers into legitimate murder rapists.
Yeah. Which again, cleaning up the neighborhood and all that kind of good stuff is the theme. And of course, they tagged on to something, which is why we have so many Death Wish sequels. So moving on to the second one.
Well, and the other thing too, just about all five of these, very much like Dirty Harry, and how and not to tie Eastwood to Charles in any way, but each of these movies is very much a product of when they're made. Very much like Dirty Harry, and all five of them are very different movies too.
Yeah, and they all have their strong points and their weaknesses. Death Wish 2 is the one that I actually watched first. So I think that one came out in 1980. And I remember the box, the old Canon box there with the green stripes and all that, and the picture of him wearing the black beanie.
You got it. It's the same one. It's the same, and it just says Death Wish 2.
Death Wish 2.
Yep.
And I remember I watched that one first. And again, I probably watched that when I was too young, probably about 10 years old. It horrified me because again, the daughter's getting better. Yep. He's moved to New York, or he's moved to LA for this one. And of course the street crime gets the daughter this time.
Yeah.
And of course he goes on big. This one is really simple as opposed. So Vincent Gardenia comes back for this one. You now got his wife, Jill Ireland, in this one.
Yes,
and
right.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I was reading about this one. Charles Bronson had an agreement that in order for his wife, Jill Ireland, to be in this, that she couldn't come to any physical violence. So it's the only one where his love interest doesn't get.
I was going to say, yeah. Like she takes off because she catches him lying or forging something or something like that, right? But yeah, she never meets an untimely end.
No, nothing really happens to her. And that's the only way he would agree into having her in this movie, because I guess you do this again. Michael Winner directs the first one. Michael Winner directs this one. Roger Ebert, this is one of the very few films where he didn't give it, he gave it 0 because he found it so distasteful. And I have to say, this one is for, just because I'm sentimental about it, it's probably my favorite one because it's nothing but action. So the story you get rid of, if you're an action junkie, it gets rid of all the story that you have from the first one and all the morality tale, and just said, hey, Pally, you screwed with my daughter, you killed my daughter, now I'm coming after you. And then he basically hunts these guys down. So you have that really great scene at the very end where he's got the guy in the shock therapy room, put his hand in the shock therapy room.
Right, yeah, that's this one, right, yeah.
Another cool part, Lawrence Fishburne is in this one. He plays one of the goons. So again, we got Jeff Goldblum in the first one, we got Larry Fishburne in this one. And something I also read that I thought was kind of cool is that I can't remember, they were going to get Isaac Hayes to do the soundtrack for this one. But Michael Winner lived next door to Jimmy Page, and Jimmy Page actually ended up doing the soundtrack for this.
Yeah, that's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. So those,
I remember this one. It's the same thing, right? It's sentimental, and I think probably I saw it first as well, just because I think my father knew that the first one was worse as far as the big attack there. I remember, I thought that was so smart. Oh, he's renting the hotel room and he's hiding the gun underneath the damn thing for,
Well, he knows what he's doing now. Whereas the
I'd have been about 9 when I watched it, right? But
first time he's learning, and now he's on to it. And of course, we start losing a bit of the believability of it. And that's the thing is I find as these go along, the suspension of disbelief.
And in this one,
stretched
more and more. They don't
more.
actually kill his daughter. His daughter does a Peter Pan out the window, right?
She does. Well, yeah, because they rape her again, which I thought was awful. I didn't know that at first. I'm kind of like, oh, well, they're taking advantage of a mentally handicacapped person. This is really sick. But then
in
you
their
find
defense,
out
they didn't know her from the.
Yeah, they didn't know her. So I mean, pretty sickening. but again, Bronson gets away to go another day to go back to New York again. So.
Yeah. And after he electrocutes the guy with the by getting him to punch the television screen.
No, he goes through. It was just.
No, I know, but that's what it looks like, right?
Mental health. There, they actually did that up until the time. Actually, they still do shock therapy to this day.
Oh yeah.
Back then though, you put your arms in there and give you a shock and hopefully straighten you out, right? And I guess.
But they have the same
got
scene
straightened out, all right.
It's the same scene where the orderly, or not the orderly, whoever it is, the medical guy there knows who he was, let him in and let him go, right?
I think at the very end he goes, I'm gonna give you a head start, then I'm gonna
I'll give you 3 minutes, or I'll give you a minute.
Give you 3 minutes, and I'm calling the cops, because he sat there, he breaks down, he goes, he killed my daughter, blah blah blah. And of course he's all cut up and so on and so forth. But
and it is amazing to me in each of these, except for maybe one of them, where he's able to track all these fools down, and you go, how in the hell, right?
Well, that's the most satisfying part of it. And again, I think if you're into revenge films, and I've always been into revenge films, because Charles Bronson, my son's name is Bronson, again, my hero growing up, and into revenge. I don't care how he finds them, but I want to see him get his revenge on this guy for wronging him, right? Yeah. So you wronged him, he's going to correct it. He's going to get you back. I mean, that scene, my favorite one is when the guy's got the cross. He goes, "You believe in God?" He goes, "Yes, sir, Jesus Christ, blah, blah, blah." He goes, "Well, you're about to meet him."
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Right. The other. So then we go on to the biggest guilty pleasure of the series, which is part 3. So not only Michael Winner didn't direct this one, so now we have J. Lee Thompson jumps into helm this one. This one, we're back in LA. He's renting it. He's going to see his old war buddy Charlie.
He's taking the bus.
Charlie's been dead. They've come in there. He's in a bad neighborhood, and the street punks and all that. And there's so much wrong with this film, and so much that you're just the suspension of disbelief. You're just sitting there going,
out of control.
"Oh my God, this is absolutely ridiculous." But at the same time, this is probably the most fun of all 5 of the films. Like when you're watching this, just because of some of the silliness that's going on. Like, it's Charles Bronson taking on basically all of New York crime.
Or certainly a borough
single-handedly. Other than Buddy with the zip gun, that's only going to last one shot, and Martin Balsam with his machine gun. But here we have the love interest as being Deborah Raffin. We got Ed Lauder, Martin Balsam, Alec Winter plays one of the goons in this one, and Gavin O'Herlihy, which you were just telling me just recently passed away. So he played the main bad guy in this one. So,
and he was
fella. But if you're looking at the shots, like the way this goes on there, like I'm not sure if choreography, like an 80s music video choreographer got his start in this, or said, we have to do this. We have to have the guys standing in precarious positions, firing weapons. And they're all over. And of course, to shoot one of these guys, even if he shot you, you might live if you were good placement on when you're firing at Bronson, but they're not. They're standing in these positions. They get shot and they fly off of buildings.
Yeah, that's not wire work. They're jumping.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And you're watching this stuff again. He brought the gun was the gun that I've always wanted to own. I don't own any guns. It's a Willie Magnum, and it was actually Charles Bronson's his own Willie Magnum.
The Colt Cobra there at the end? No, not at the end.
Nope, the Willie Magnum. My friend Willie's coming.
And that's the one. It reminded me. I don't know. I have to look it up if it's the one. Very similar. Again, these guys are going back and forth with these movies. Where Clint pulls out a different gun in Sudden Impact.
The Sudden Impact is is his big 45. And again, this one's similar. This one was Charles Bronson's own, and the amount of people, like I can't remember his contact with it, but it was a special gun for him. He said he wanted to bring it because it would make it unique for the film. So he brought it for the film. My friend Willie's coming. Back in the days when you could mail order a gun and they'd ship it to you in the mail, right? Rent a post office box and then buy a gun and have it shipped to you because you're mad. Well, you have a chance to cool up.
After the punks kill your family from a grocery list.
Well, and the thing is that we were watching some of the scenes. The one guy where one guy that takes Bronson, pops in the jaw, and he does this really fancy turn and falls on the ground. And you can say it's so much like choreography. Like the guy was definitely a dancer. whoever.
Oh, he's used to be in a West Side Story gang.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what I was expecting to see. I said, "Whoa, my God, this is going to turn into West Side Story soon." But again, the fun on this one, even when Ed Lauder and Charles Bronson are running down the street, like just firing, and of course, Lauder's got like a detective special.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, you're not gonna. I mean, next to the zip gun, I guess it's better than a zip gun. But neat thing, if you're a Red Dwarf fan like I am, Mac Macdonald, who plays Captain Hollister, actually is one of the guys that's interrogating Bronson in the office. But that's kind of a neat reference. I remember seeing him and going, "Oh my God, I know who that is." But again, suspension of disbelief just out the window. The cops are the bad guys. They come and they disarm the good people, and then they leave.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They don't even do anything to make the cops look competent or good. It's just kind of like, you're on your own, pal. You know,
we're bureaucratic. Yeah.
And here's where we get into a lot of the booby traps and all that, where you start setting traps around the place, which I absolutely love. You know, when he puts what's that? Teeth. It's got two teeth from the guy, the board that comes up and smacks him in the face. So that sets up things for later down the line when we get into part 5. But again,
well, I just remember the one where he's running around with the insane World War II era machine gun, and Buddy's got the
Martin Balsam's machine gun that he could, that
Foot Locker with him, but the way he's holding it would just, it would melt his hand, right?
Well, yeah, that particular gun had to be on a tripod in order even to be accurate. So, because you're firing, jiggling all over the place. But I mean, even that aside, I'll buy it. You know, scared shitless sitting there with this gun, gonna at all these punks that realize it's not going to work. But some of the guys on there, like the Giggler and all that, when he takes them out, friggin' hilarious. The recoil on the Willie Magnum. So of course, MythBusters has disproven this. But when somebody gets shot, the shot goes through them. It doesn't knock them back. Like,
no, it's
you
not
can
a
actually
cannonball.
Almost see. Yeah. You can actually almost see the ropes on the guys pulling them back. I believe you can actually. I believe on some of them you can tell quite definitely they've got something around that's going to pull them back from this shot, because it blows them back like 10 bloody feet.
Oh yeah. This is the movie. This is the only one. This is the only one where he approached the well, they're not his contemporaries because they're half his age at the time, but like what Chuck Norris was doing in Cannon and what Stallone and Schwarzenegger were doing. This is his movie that's the most like that for sure.
Well, I was reading that this one actually has its own cult following. So of all the sequels, this one has got a big following. You can find Facebook pages for Death Wish 3. Like I said, it's my guilty pleasure. I actually love this movie, and it's because it's so bad, it's good. And again, it has. I remember
my at the point where my father's seen all 3 of them, and maybe the 4th one had been out, and he's looking at the one. He goes, "This is the one where he's running around the house. It's terrible." Throwing down.
Well, I think my dad actually got up and left. Like, he said, "This is so stupid," and I'm like, "It is stupid, but it's so much fun." I mean, here's again, Charles Bronson's like what, 63 at the time this is being filmed. So you got a 63-year-old man who's just kind of coming to town to stay in Charlie's place and look after his things, and I'm going to take on all of New York's crime, all these gangs, and even towards the end when it's full-blown war. And he's got the rocket launcher. Of course, there's the rocket launcher in this one.
Yep.
And Gavin O'Hurley on that. Yeah. Gavin O'Hurley. He, of course, this gang. You're getting into like Texas Gladiators 2020. They've got the pinstriping there, and they've shaved their heads. And it's just
it's Escape from the Bronx.
It is. It's so freaking ridiculous, but at the same time, it's so much fun. Like, if you have not seen this film, again, how much further could you get away from the original Death Wish?
Yeah,
that's really, really proving a point there. I mean, a really well-made film,
almost a family drama.
Yeah, it's again, and it's realistic. To now, you've come this far. This is part 3. Apparently, when this movie came out, it was rated X, and I was reading some of the scenes that they had to cut out of it in order to make it make it R.
There was some unrelated prison shit that probably played.
There's that. Well, you remember the one guy's wife dies from a broken arm, clot in a broken arm. The Giggler is apparently supposed to, after they rape her, he actually ends up breaking her arm, and that's why they come back, because you never know what she died, like broken arm. I'm like, okay, you buy it, you didn't see it, but there's a really graphic scene apparently when he does that. There's some prison stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff. And apparently that was all done afterwards with extras, and it was so savage that Charles Bronson was really upset that this was done. He goes, this was the only film he ever made that he actually made disparaging marks, but he's a pretty quiet guy, doesn't grant interviews, doesn't do stuff like that. And for this, he was, as vocal as Bronson was, he was pretty vocal that he was not happy with this film. He didn't like this
I didn't
film.
know that. Huh.
Yeah. So.
Huh. Well, you saved, probably you just said you saved that dark stuff for Kinjite.
Kinjite. Yeah, well, it's not like he stayed away from dark stuff, even if you've seen 10 to midnight.
Yeah.
That's pretty dark stuff. But I mean, I guess that he had signed off on one thing, and then to see the stuff added afterwards, again, giving it the X rating, where of course now you've given yourself basically the death kiss, because now you're not going to get seen by so many. And of course they were saying, I think it was like 13, 14 minutes they ended up having to cut out of this film in order for you to see it. And again, it's just nasty stuff.
It's Caligula.
Yeah, basically, I mean, how do we outdo ourselves from parts 1 and part 2? Because part 2 was definitely more violent than the first one.
Yeah, and we can't.
The best part about 3 is Charles Bronson getting the which he he'd revisit in Assassination, but getting the rocket launcher and blowing O'Hurley into into the atmosphere. So again, if you're gonna kill somebody, kill them with style, right? And that's pretty stylish. So again, I don't know what more to say. I mean, this was a lot of fun again, and now we were a couple of years. That one was what, 85,
84 maybe. Yeah.
84, 85, because then we get Crackdown is 80. Yeah, Crackdown's 89. Because I remember the preview. So we get into part 4. You're kind of like, well, where can you take the series now? You know, here we are in part 4.
Back to LA.
What the hell? Yeah, back to LA in this one. Again, you've got I'm not sure who the director. Oh, J. Lee Thompson again for this one. And again,
this is at the height. This is like, much like De Niro and Scorsese and.
Well, we were so excited. I remember seeing this come out, and I was so excited. I'm like, Death Wish 4. Like, I couldn't believe it. I said, this is getting kind of silly. This is back when, right around the time where we're getting a Friday the 13th part 5. We're like, oh, come on, like really.
This one's my sentimental favorite for sure.
Yeah, part 4. I have to say, part 4 had some cool stuff. It's kind of overlooked because. It doesn't show up, but I mean, it's actually a pretty good film. Again, given the fact that if parts 1 and part 2 hadn't existed, this actually would have been a pretty strong film. But again, we're doing the same thing, except now rather than having gang members rape and kill, this is his girlfriend's daughter that's died from a drug overdose. So now he's back in LA to take care of the drug problem, which now we're getting into fistful of dollars territory because he puts himself on both sides of this cartel. So now you've got Kay Lenz, who was actually 34 at the time. So she was half the age, Bronson's love interest, and she's half the age of Charles Bronson. So good for him. John P. Ryan from Runaway Train is the bad guy. And that's why Thompson chose him, because he loved him in, Globus, that's who it was, Golden Globus. Globus loved him as the warden in Runaway Train, so they got him as the bad guy for this one. And this is an early film for Danny Trejo. So Runaway Train was actually Danny Trejo's first movie, and they picked him up for this one. So he's got a small part with Bronson in this one as well. So you have to pay attention in order to see him. But I mean, of course, it's unmistakable. It's Trejo. And I think he was like 43 at the time he made this one, or Danny Trejo made this one. So again, a lot of the same. The best scene here is when he gets the two sides against each other, and he has the big shootout. So that is to me is the scene. In fact, I wrote a short story in high school that was based on that scene. It was taken from that scene about getting mafioso, two sides on either side, and basically just kind of like doing the North versus South, where you just kind of stand there and take it. You hide behind limousines and you just boom, 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 boom. So, but again, it doesn't add anything new. Like, we're not in a lot of ways from part 3, it kind of takes a step backwards, because they had so much gore and so violent that they go, you have to take this in a different direction. So you get that fistful of dollars kind of play both sides. We got to take this somewhere else. And not as much fun as the last one, but a lot more believable.
Well, I remember seeing it. I'd seen, he's from John Ryan there from Runaway Train, but he was in a bunch of Canon stuff. He was in. Oh yeah. He's the low end shouter compared to Pacino. He's always got a scene or two where he goes crazy. At least yelling. And
he's got the Jack.
I don't think he does it in this one. And then I remember even my mother watching this one, and we're surprised because Kay Lenz makes it to the last scene, and then they blow her up.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Again,
and you go, Jesus, she made it right to the
one
end.
that didn't get out of that, right? Charles Bronson's kind of like, whatever, you can have the rest, and just don't take my wife, right?
I'm used to this. Yeah,
I'm used to this. But again, this one was the Crackdown. So this is the first Death Wish that they've actually given a subheading to. So whereas Death Wish 3 is just Death Wish 3, this Death Wish 4 is the Crackdown. And I remember seeing the with all the colored lights, look kind of like FX2 kind of promo for it. But again, a lot of fun. Not as fun as the last one or as goofy as the last one, but a solid film actually.
And then, at the beginning, much like how Superman 4 is all about the nuclear race, this one's all about the drug trade. And how
he's already killed muggers and rapists, and so now he's got to go out, and they've killed his daughter, his wife, his best friend, his army buddy, and now where else are you going to go? So he's dating again. That's good. So he's got another girlfriend.
Well, you think again in this day and age, like again when they remade the one with Bruce Willis, you go, that guy's he's bad news. You don't want to date him because you're going to end up dead.
Yeah, pretty much.
Be his friend. I have
to say that I hated the Bruce Willis version. In fact, if you want to see Death Wish made, the best Death Wish movie remake I've seen is Death Sentence with Kevin Bacon. To me, that's as close to the best remake I've seen of that. And of course, after these Death Wish films, everybody was on revenge, and they've got Lee Van Cleef doing them, and they got all these other guys making these kind of films. And again, they're nothing new now. Back then, they were something new other than westerns. Is pretty much where you saw them, and Italian films, vendettas. Now you've got this big budget Death Wish movie, and of course they've spawned all these other Death Wish. So that's part 4, the Crackdown. So
and
now
at the height of the Bronson J. Lee Thompson collaborative.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but Jay Lee wasn't called on for the next one. He said he would have done it, but he was never offered. So I guess he turned it because he turned down, I think part 3 or something like that. I can't remember who directed Michael Winner definitely didn't do part 3. I'll have to look that up afterwards, but there's something about him not being offered. And so he didn't do Faces of Death. And of course, Faces of Death is Charles Bronson's final actually theatrical release. So he's 73 years old. They're calling this New York, but as you pointed out, it's filmed all in Canada. And you can tell by the cast because you've got Robert Joy, who's Canadian, Saul Rubinek, who's Canadian, Kenneth Welsh, who's Canadian. And of course, they're calling Toronto. It's filmed all in Toronto, and because they were saving the tax credit, because basically the whole salary, the whole budget, so at a budget of $5 million. And Charles Bronson's salary was between $4 and $5 million. So you can see where the rest of it, and this is the only one that's filmed mostly indoors. So they're filming, they're not filming on location, they're filming in studio on this one.
Yeah, it is. It's it starts like he's busting up an HR issue at a clothing.
Yes.
It's not even, it has nothing to do with any kind of revenge to begin with.
No, well, basically his now girlfriend, because he keeps going through them, is a fashion designer, and basically she's into the mob, and they come out, and I guess they're trying to can't remember exactly, but trying to blackmail her. And
they're harassing her staff.
And they hideously disfigure her, Robert Joy does. And of course now Bronson, it's personal, now he's got to come back. So 73 years of age, comes in there. And of course, you've got the main bad guy, Michael Parks, in this one, which I thought was pretty cool. The love interest is Leslie Ann Down. And then, of course, you got the ones that Robert Joy, Kenneth Walsh, and Saul Rubinek.
And there's the
Saul Rubinek, actually, I read another little piece of trivia that he's actually in the first one, and he's actually one of the gang members on the train on the subway.
Is that right?
So he uncredited, all that, but Saul Rubinek apparently is in the first one. So
and the other guy,
I'll have to look for him next time I watch it.
The other guy, he shows up hand in hand like Kenneth Welsh and Saul Rubinek, he plays token Spaniard drug lord all the time, but this time he's playing a cop, is Miguel Sandoval.
Yes, he's also in this.
Yeah.
And if this one, now you've got a new direction. You got Ellen Goldstein, who, as far as I can tell, this is the only apparently him and Charles Bronson did a movie that never saw the light of day earlier in the 80s. And him and Charles Bronson actually became really good friends through this. But if you go back and see, I mean, you and I would recognize some of the films because they were direct to video, but this is his biggest film. When you look at the stuff that he's known for, this is Alan Goldstein's very biggest film. And again, in part 3, he starts laying the groundwork for setting traps. What he knows in part 5 is that they're recognizing this guy is getting old. Like, this guy's 73 and he can't run out and start, punching these guys, gripping them. So he starts getting a little more ingenuitive with some of the traps that he sets in part 3 is more of what he's doing. So setting bombs, setting traps for these guys. So that's the thing that kind of differentiates this one from everything, from everything else, is the fact that Charles Bronson realizes he's getting old and has to use his brain more in this. So I also read at the end of this one, they were supposed to be a part 6 called The New Vigilante, but Charles Bronson refused. He said he wasn't going to make any more of these Death Wish films. This was it for him. But they were going to introduce a protege of, kind of like in The Mechanic, introduce a protege who was going to take the series on for there. But it was all set up, and then 20th Century Fox went bankrupt. So, or I think it was Fox went bankrupt, so they couldn't make it. So still an idea for today.
This one, it says it's variations of the theme where he's, he's poisoned the cannoli and he's just waiting for the guy to eat it. And then that's actually my favorite scene when Michael Parks throws the cannoli. You stupid bitch. And that actually made me laugh. Again, not a good part of the movie, but to me, the most ingenious thing is the remote control soccer ball.
So the one for Robert Joy. So
how that's executed is terrible, but it's a great idea to begin with.
Actually, Robert Joy, it's worth seeing to see Robert Joy alone because he's actually so much fun in this one.
Well, I think this led the groundwork for him playing a lunatic in a bunch of serial killer movies too.
Oh yeah, totally. Well,
this one is the same thing too. Like, maybe I missed it, but like, I don't think Bronson knows who kills his girlfriend in this one. We know because the audience, right? But we don't know who shoots Leslie Ann down off the roof. And then the guy that kills his wife or his girlfriend, he's bumped off in the movie, I don't know, about halfway through, because it seems to be they're lining up the big showdown between Charles and Michael Parks. But crazy.
Yeah. And again, other than that, there's nothing really remarkable. It's actually considered the poorest of the series, whereas part 3 technically is the cheesiest,
some humor here,
so on and so forth. This one's more realistic. But
the
part 5
gangsters get together. The gangster some banter with Parks and the 3 idiots that he's with. That's pretty good. But
like, don't get me wrong. I mean, I actually when it came out, I said, I like that. It wasn't bad. I mean, just a chance to see Charles Bronson. I mean, for 73 years old, he's still kicking butt. He's still running around and doing stuff, even though he's not physically punching these guys out. Because remember, he still had films. Like, he was making Donato and Daughter, and he was making. He made still about half a dozen films between now. Yeah, he had a 3-picture deal for Family of Cops. Last one came out in 1999, and he died in 2002. So I mean, he was 79 when he finished that film. So I mean, pretty good. And I mean, even if you look at the Family Cops 3, he's still throwing guys down the stairs and all that. I'm like, that's pretty good for a freaking 80-year-old dude. So, but he still had more movies. He did that Donato and Daughter with Kim Delaney. Other stuff, but again, this was his final theatrical release. So this one actually released theatrically in the US and Canada. In Europe and Australia, apparently went right to video. I never remember it releasing. I never remember seeing pictures of it or actually releasing in Canada. I remember because I was working in video stores and I was doing the ordering, seeing this come up and going, "Oh my God, I can't believe it! Look at him."
I don't remember seeing this one in the theater, like promoted in the theaters, like
part 4 definitely was, because I remember that one quite well. Yeah. Part 5 apparently it did a small box office, but again, over the years the budget has kind of gone down, and of course Charles Bronson being paid, I think for part 2 he's paid $1 million. To part 5 he's being paid $5 million,
and which would be back then
$5 million
back then fairly high wage for an actor.
Well, and Charles Bronson actually had a lot of fun making this picture. So he really didn't want to make this one, but he had a lot of fun making it, apparently. So again, he had a really good relationship with Alan Goldstein. So that was kind of, I guess, the big thing, golfing and fishing with him and all that kind of good stuff. So
and
again,
Goldstein,
it looks like he's having fun.
Well, and this one, I mean, it's almost not quite where, I stopped watching movies as a kid and then started realizing, no, I'm watching them as an adult. But it's crazy to me that Michael Parks is in this, and then within a year and a half, he's on set with Tarantino and fucking Rodriguez playing, Sheriff Earl and From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah,
because you just go, what in the hell? And then he's made a career out of doing that now. But then you realize, wait, if they're casting him in From Dusk Till Dawn, which is right in this era, and I've looked at his filmography, what was Michael Parks in going back that impressed the hell out of those guys, right? Because there's nothing there that's going, oh, okay, I got it, right? Other than
he played Jesus, so that would have impressed anybody.
There we go. But
it was like 1964, I think.
Yeah, Parks would be pretty young at that point, right? Like, I mean,
they're all gone now. You look at all these guys and all these films. I mean, they're a run from 1974 to basically 1993. So you've got a good run there, but of these films and spaced out. And of course, in between, Bronson was the revenge guy, the action guy, and he even did a chance to get away and do a few other things. But I mean, most of his stuff went direct to video. All the stuff went direct to video after that, and even a couple of projects before that went pretty much direct to video. So. No, actually, I think most of his other stuff I don't think he did anything direct to video until after 5. So that's 93.
Well, I want to say the first thing I think may have gone direct to video was and it might have been for television, which would be not quite the same thing, but he did. I want to say it's called The Sea Wolf with Christopher Lee.
Yes, he did. And that was made for television with him and Christopher Reeve. And Donato and Daughter with Kim Delaney was made for television. I think everything that he did after that was pretty much that. Other than that, I mean, he was in the Indian Runner, Sean Penn's film in 92. He played Sean Penn's dad. And I remember being excited at that and watching that film just to see Charles Bronson in something that it was him acting something that wasn't him, just shooting guys up. Even though, I mean, I lived to see the guy shoot things up. So, but yeah, you don't see him doing too many cameo stuff. If that funny thing is, Charles Bronson was actually supposed to play Adam Sandler's dad in Billy Madison, but he turned it down, and of course Darren McGavin got the role. So, well,
you could just see, eras being eras. If he was still alive, you could see him being in, he's playing the one off in a Tarantino, or he walks through playing the Lager guy and part in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or something, right? Like,
he was born in 21, so he would been 100 years old today.
Yeah.
He's been 100 years old in November, I believe.
We could have popped up and killed Bill.
Yeah, you could have got him in the wheelchair, or do what they did to Ricardo Montalban in one of the Spy Kids, and just grabbed his head, have him sit in his wheelchair, and then grabbed his head on something else. So there you go. But it would have been cool. I mean, it Kill Bill, which is 2002 or 2003, no, 2004.
3 and 4, yeah.
2003, yeah, they've got a big tribute to him and said, in memory of Charles Bronson. So,
is that right on the credits?
Yeah, on the credits of there. So, because I remember I was actually on a vacation. I think I was on a cruise or something like that. When I came back, my aunt told me that Charles Bronson had died, and I was pretty bummed about that. So, but anyway, we were going to talk about the 5. You have 5, I have 5. I mean, I'm sure there's. I think I know most of your list, so I'm not going to. I kind of chose things that weren't crossover, but. Yeah. These are films that we chose that are favorite Bronson films that actually he's kind of the headliner, rather than we could say Magnificent Seven, Dirty Dozen, Once Upon a Time in the West, where he's a supporting player. But these are ones kind of mostly from the 70s and 80s where he's the real deal. My list, I'll let you go first. You pick one and we can go back and forth.
Okay. I'll my first one, these are on my end anyway, no particular order. Except for the last.
Like I said, I like all Bronson. There's only one Bronson film I'm not a fan of. So
no, I mean there's some,
or would never watch again.
Take or leave, but there's ones that really stand out to me. And the first is Telefon. I love this movie. I think I probably watched this around the same time as watching most of the Bonds, and then whatever the Michael Caine series and some of the ones he was in as well. And I just thought this fit right in, and it may not have been the first Bronson movie, but I thought maybe that's how Russian sounded.
So this is Russian.
Not how Russian sound at all, but
yeah, this is the one about Russian sleeper. This is the one about Russian sleeper agents.
Oh
with,
yeah,
Donald Pleasance, and I can't remember, but I'm assuming Jill Ireland is in this one.
Yeah,
they worked
she's
together
not,
16 times. So,
and I sometimes conflate this plot point wise with the Fourth Protocol, probably because young Rob would confuse Pierce Brosnan with Charles Bronson. Yeah, I just love
Remington Steele.
Yeah, I just love this movie. I remember, oh my God, the trigger in the sleeper cells with the phone calls, and I just thought it was a great movie.
Yeah, awesome movie. Enjoyed that one. My big one that I think most people know has been remade is The Mechanic. So this was him and John Michael Vincent. He's basically, the mechanic is given, he's a hitman that has a protege, John Michael Vincent, and who goes out and does hits. I don't want to give away the anything. Nobody's ever seen it, but it's very similar. Jason Statham and Ben Foster did the remake of it, and then there was a sequel to that had nothing to do with it and wasn't very good. But I absolutely love that. There's a scene, I don't know how the cutaway, where a guy goes over a cliff in a motorbike, and I'm trying to see, I said, okay, I'm positive I saw that actor get on there, or it looks so much like there's a guy on it, but the film follows him all the way down to exploding on the rocks. I'm like, I didn't see anybody get out. I didn't see anybody roll. I didn't see, like, what the hell happened there. Again, a bit dated, but actually this one is a good one. Charles Bronson does acting in this one. Like I said, really enjoyed this one. One of my favorites. And
just one quick thing to go back on Telefon about the probably Robert Frost, that the poem that they used to cue the sleeper.
It's something dark and deep.
The woods and dark and deep. It shows up. Tarantino uses it. That's what Kurt Russell uses to get the lap dance out of the girl in Death.
That's right. I totally forgot about that.
And I think cool. I'm sure it shows up in another movie. It's just a matter of.
Well, Telefon's one of those ones that gets glossed over, especially of Bronson's canon, is one of the ones that's not really forefront and kind of gets glossed over as many that he did. I mean, there was a time where he was coming out with so many, so many of them, like one every year there for a while, of stuff that in the 70s, because he was so popular. An Italian film called Riders on the Rain, one with Telly Savalas called The Family, or Violent City, I think it's called. With Martin Balsam as well. Just a bunch of films. So, and
Telefon's Don Siegel.
Nice.
Another Clint Eastwood connection there.
Yeah. So then I went to Mechanic.
Certainly, that's after Don Siegel's cresting in his career.
Yeah. Back to you again. Your next.
Yeah. Breakheart Pass. I like that. I mean, it's
Alistair McLean's Breakheart
Pass, right? So, and so I get where he's coming from, but it's Charles's version of
Agatha Christie,
Orient Express, more or less, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
A lot of colorful characters in it. I think they're all underused terribly. There's
Ben Johnson. They had a great cast in this one.
Yeah, well, it reminds me of the Delta Force with Chuck Norris, where all of a sudden the supporting cast is insanely good, considering
and playing such minor roles that you're kind of like, oh my God, George Kennedy again, Martin Balsam. You got all these people in there.
This one, same thing. Our bad guy from Deliverance shows up as the Reverend Peabody or something like that. And I think one of the first victims.
With this one, I remember watching this the first time, is that I didn't want to watch it because Charles Bronson at the very beginning, because he's trying to get on this train, is basically portrayed as a coward and a bad guy, which I'm kind of like, you're not used to seeing Charles Bronson play that role. So I'm kind of like, frig, I'm not going to want to watch.
He's undercover.
He's undercover. And again, I think I watched it on TV, and of course, without context, I'm like, okay, whatever, Alistair McLean, we'll watch this. And of course, as it gets going, and it's a whodunit mystery, so it's really different for Bronson. I mean, there's your obligatory action sequences in it, but pretty cool whodunit. So definitely something different. I don't think Bronson ever made another film like that. Pretty cool film.
And I'm gonna have to watch them not back to back, but closer together and see, because I'm convinced that as I was watching this the other day, that Gene Hackman, they make it with narrow margin. It's, it's pretty much
Yeah, actually, that's a pretty good one. I never even thought about that.
plot, other than they set it up with a bookend beginning before they get on the train. But, very similar to me.
My next one is one that I grew up watching again shortly after when I watched Death Wish 2. And again, this is back when VHS they were coming out with old movies as new movies. And it kind of like this week released Mr. Majestic. I'm like, Mr. Majestic. So my dad was all about Mr. Majestic, and he goes, "You got to watch this. He's a melon farmer." I'm like, "Oh, exciting!"
Did you say that's the one with the melons? Yeah,
that's the one where he's the melon farmer. And of course, again, most of the action in this one, of course, he's a melon farmer who's not caving to the mob. And I'm trying to remember the Al somebody is the bad guy, and he's a real piece of crap in it. He's a real slime bag. I remember there's a great scene. So it all culminates into going back and forth till finally you push Bronson too far, and he's hunting you down at the cabin. And then they've got this incredible cabin scene. Again, this one's going back to 76, I think, 75, where it's pretty intense scene. Pretty intense. It actually kind of reminds me of The Good and the Bad and the Ugly, where Hang 'em High, where Clint Eastwood is going after the three guys that are holed up in the barn that hung them, the last three guys. So it strikes me exactly like that. They're coming to the bar. It's his house, except the bad guys are coming to him this one. But the great shootout scene, and of course, the melon stuff. He's a poor Mexican immigrant worker who owns this thing, and of course, he's got all these guys with all these hardships that kind of come to them. And again, it's a question. This time they pushed Bronson too far. And if you haven't seen it, check it out. Again, by today's standards, it's not nearly as exciting as a Death Wish film, but if you make it through, the payoff is awesome. So again, great 70s action like Mr. Majestic.
And written by Elmore Leonard, actually.
Yeah, that's an Elmore Leonard.
Yeah, not a bad one.
I think J. Lee Cobb or J. Lee Thompson might have directed that one as well, or I don't think it's Michael Winner. Could be wrong. Winner did, and Bronson did so many together. I have to check that one out. But anyway, Mr. Majestic.
We talked about Death Wish 5 being his last movie that went to theaters. What I call his last Hollywood movie, because it was directed by Peter Hunt and is very, very stagey, is Assassination, where there's so much stock footage in this. The close-ups are just, okay, we need a white building, and then we can pretend he's walking past the White House.
Well, that one's 80. That one's 86, so it's definitely before. It's even before Death Wish.
Yeah. Oh no, but it's his last big, what I'd call, no, Peter Hunt was making this like he was making on Her Majesty's Secret Service. Okay, here's the big setup. It's just now we got no money. So I
think this is actually Jill Ireland's last movie.
And she plays,
she's the first lady that he's supposed to protect.
But yeah, it's a weird dynamic, but it's again, there's Bronson ahead of Clint Eastwood's curve, well ahead of protecting the president in the line of fire.
In the line of fire.
Yeah. And this is an awful movie, because I think we're talking about Life Force in another episode, where that once they leave Washington, it's some kind of road movie where they're mainly in Colorado or Montana.
It is. I mean, it's the kind of film that feels like that the pages, the script's being written, like there's a lot of money being thrown at this, but the script's literally being written. Read this. Here, read this.
Well, it's just so crazy, because you go, first of all, wouldn't somebody go rescue the first lady if she was just with one Secret Service agent? And you go,
yeah,
what happened to the president? Like what?
Yeah, no, actually, I remember watching that one and going, I think it came out the same time as Action Jackson with Carl Weathers.
Sure, yeah.
And I remember watching them back to back. I'm like, well, even my 14-year-old self would be sitting there, 12-year-old self was disappointed.
Oh yeah, that's the same thing. I knew what I was getting into.
At that time, I was like, Charles Bronson, Carl Weathers, I'll watch it. It'd be awesome. I'm sure it's awesome.
Is he in that? I don't.
No, Carl Weathers is Action Jackson, because I was watching the two of them back to back. So,
but not a good
next one here is again one that I've watched a bunch of times. Again, I think he would have made this right after Death Wish 2. Is Death Hunt with him and Lee Marvin, very loosely based off the Canadian, the Mad Trapper of the Yukon. So Albert Johnson. So again, you've got Ed Lauder in this one. You got some Canadians, and you got Maury Chaykin. You've got Andrew Stevens. You got Carl Weathers in this one. Angie Dickinson, for some reason, they put Angie Dickinson in this. But this is the story of the biggest manhunt in Canada. And again, the truth is not as nearly as exciting as what they made the movie out to be. Because in the real life, I mean, the guy, Lee Marvin plays Edgar Millen, who in real life was the only man actually killed by Albert Johnson, who was part of the RCMP. Was the only guy killed by him. And then he did a shootout with, I mean, he evaded them for ages. He was just such a backwoods. He lived out in the backwoods, a trapper. And there was some dispute. They sent out Edgar Millen. He shot Edgar Millen and took off. So how do you make that into a good story of the Canada's biggest manhunt? Make him a bad guy. And of course, in this one, there's a little bit of a switcheroo where you can say, yeah, because everyone knows about the Mad Trapper going into it. They just don't know that they don't know that it's Albert Johnson. And of course, towards the end of this one, you get a bit of a switcheroo where the actual Mad Trapper is actually killed. And it's also mimicked as, you know, oh, Albert Johnson's the Mad Trapper. Holy cow, I can't believe it. But I had William Sanderson, a lot of stock characters in this, but the shootout scenes in this one are intense. When they blow up his cabin and he comes up, they've got that iconic, he's shooting the shotgun or doing the repeater rifle and all that. So one of my favorite Charles Bronson films that's not a death wish is definitely Death Hunt. I've seen it a ton of times. It still holds up today as being a good film. It's really, again, it doesn't have the pace of modern day action now where our attention span is so low. But my God, if you haven't seen it in a while, check it out, because Charles Bronson and Lee Marvin are so awesome. Like they hadn't been together since they did the Dirty Dozen.
Dirty Dozen, yeah. I remember that one, box art too. Just both those guys on the image, right? And they go, "Oh, that's perfect."
And again, here's a guy who's 60-something years old and kicking butt in the Arctic. So
two tough guys, yeah.
Tough guys, and a lot of, yeah. I guess, well, Lee Marvin would have been about 60, I guess. Well, he died. Yeah, he would have been. Yeah, he would have been about 60. So here you got two old guys that are kind of classing it up here, doing this whole thing. And of course, Andrew Stevens, one of his earlier movies, because the son of Stella Stevens, and you've seen him in tons of things. And of course, Carl Weathers, a very early movie for him.
Action Jackson.
So BC Lion too.
That's right.
Back to you.
My second last one is notable because it's one of the only Charles Bronson movies I think I've seen that I saw on television first. It's one of those ones, I don't know if it was A&E or whatever the channel was, but Borderline. It was getting all the time.
Robert Duvall?
I don't think Duvall's in it. Ed Harris is in it.
No, there's another one. Because I remember that one, because that one came out as another one that with Jack Nicholson called Borderline.
The Border.
It's just the Border. So
yeah.
Border and the Border. So this was a kind of and that was a more popular movie than Borderline. But there's another one. There's another one that Robert Duvall is in that's like that. But yeah, keep going.
Well, no, yeah, that's exactly it. He's, we're watching immigration over the New Mexican border, and I just remember it because it's getting a lot of stars in it. I think Bruno Kirby's in it, and who did I just say? Ed Harris. So it's a good mix of people that we're going to go on to bigger, better things.
And again, that one, I think you're about 82 on that one.
82, something like that.
Yeah, he made so many right around between 79.
Well, this is where he's hitting that height where he's still in the major studio, and Cannon and Golem and Globus haven't picked him up yet.
Well, and it's funny because, some of these films, we don't know. They may have been made earlier and all because his GQ was like through the roof there. So they're going to release them all at the same time, right? Well, while he's hot, you got to release all these. So,
well, and I remember after knowing, I think it was Michael Douglas was supposed to be in this one, and he passed, and then Charles Bronson will take it.
Yeah. I remember watching that one as a kid. I watched it on TV. It's one of the ones that I have to revisit again. I think I do own it. It's just one of those
Wilford
ones
Brimley's in it. I was gonna say there's an old guy in it. It's Wilford Brimley. That's who's
Wilford Brimley.
Yeah,
him and his oatmeal.
Yeah,
it's about diabetes.
Before he went to Cocoon.
Yeah. Next one for me is Murphy's Law. So this is one he made in 86. So of course, this again, between 86 and 90,
So prolific.
He did a bunch of, he did another bunch. So Charles Bronson was really busy in the 80s. Let's just put it that way. So this one here, he is chained to one of his, he's being framed by someone that he sent away, and he is on the track of she's basically getting revenge on him and his friends. So basically he gets handcuffed to a perp that he's brought in. This woman, it's not Carrie Snodgrass, I just can't remember who it is. It's the same girl who played the psychic in Witchboard. I'll throw a reference. Anyway, a lot of fun. This one, of course, comes in there. This one, I was figuring, is this one hokey? And actually, I watched it in the last 2 years, and I thought, I couldn't believe how actually good this one was. So it really held up, and there's a couple of really good sequences in there. When he's going again out to the cabin to see his friend and all that, and she seems to be one step behind him the entire way. So keeps killing off his friends and all that until they're in the mall and have this big, the final showdown. And early on that it's a female, and it's very unusual because you've never seen a female bad guy in a Charles Bronson film before. And this one is definitely definitely psychotic. So if you haven't checked it out, Murphy's Law, a lot of fun. That would be it. And I got one more after that.
Lawrence Turney shows up in that too for a second.
Yes. I can't remember. Where did he? I remember the old black guy. I can't remember. Lawrence Turney, probably. I can't remember him.
Probably fresh out of prison or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Needs some realistic, much like when Danny Trejo would get cast.
Yeah, pretty much.
My last one on the list is easily one of my favorite movies of all time. We were talking about how Death Wish 4 is like Fistful of Dollars, where he's playing the two sides off each other. Messenger of Death, it's the same story, except he's not the guy in the middle playing them off. He's playing the reporter who has to discover who's the guy in the middle playing
against the Amish.
The Mormons and the Amish
two
brothers that are at odds.
John Ireland. Yeah.
One of them's John Ireland. The other one's famous too.
It's
Corey. Geez, I know this movie. And he plays a reporter. He plays an LA a newspaper reporter who goes to Colorado and he doesn't infiltrate, but he certainly shows up on some colony sites and gets to the business of discovering the murderer and why there was a family that was slaughtered in the opening 5 minutes. And
again, Harrison Ford's
I love this movie. If I see that, I own this one, and if I ever see it on TV, I stop whatever I'm doing and watch it.
Harrison Ford's Witness,
exactly.
Definitely. He started going off from this and going, okay, this is essentially very close to, in a lot of respects, to that movie. And I remember I was just starting. I was 15 years old, starting the video store, and this poster came out. I'm like, a new Bronson theatrical movie? Like, oh my god! Like, I gotta check this out. So, it's been a while. I know I have that one since it's a box set that I've had. Trish Van Devere, who is George C. Scott's wife or ex-wife, and they made tons of movies. She's in this as well. She's the love interest. And
she plays the local
John
reporter.
Ireland. Yeah. I think she's the reporter, of course, playing the same reporter that she basically played in basically the same kind of the character that she played in The Changeling with George C. Scott. So she wasn't a reporter in that, but yeah, she's the reporter in this, but in that one. But good film. And the whole bit is that at the end of it, it has nothing to do with the Mormons. It's obviously back in LA where the puppet masters are pulling the strings, right? So that of all films, that's the one that I'm going to revisit first of all of his films. So that's
and it's funny. The other thing, now that I think about it too, is he's not playing Charles Bronson. There's no fighting in it at all. He's literally playing a gumshoe for the entire movie.
This is as close as till the character from Breakheart pass, the kind of the mystery
until right at the end. I mean, he's not undercover. I think he's legitimately playing this reporter as Garrett Smith, right? And then the actual trigger man jumps him. I don't say it's in the bathroom, they're in the can, but when he's alone in the room, and then he turns into Charles Bronson, where this trained killer doesn't get one punch in, and Bronson knocks him around the room for 5 minutes, down the stairs, and then you see the ending of the movie where you go, well, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen, where this mild-mannered reporter now just gives it to this guy who's killed everybody in the movie.
And it's funny because
Bronson we want to see.
I remember thinking this, that Pale Rider came out, Clint Eastwood, around the same time, maybe a little bit earlier. I think that was 86.
85, 86. Yep.
Anyway, again, I was so disappointed because Clint doesn't break out his guns until the very end. And Bronson's the same way. He doesn't break out his guns to the very end. He's got that iconic shot there where he's walking around with the shotgun.
He uses it to blow open a coffin.
Yeah.
He uses it to blow open a coffin filled with rocks.
Yeah. Why open it? Why not just blow it open with a shotgun?
No, and then there is a big gunfight at I'm going to say it's an orchard between the two sects of and you think, okay, he's in this, and now what's he do? He pulls out the flag and starts running around. Give up. It's like, well, okay, different turn for Charles today.
Yeah, definitely a different one. Again, it was kind of the same turn that I felt with Clint Eastwood and Pale Rider. Is that kind of like, what the hell? You're not going to fight? You're going to preach the whole thing? Like you're not going to do anything. So, but again, upon second viewing, you're a little more kind to once you know what to expect. You're kind of like, okay, I know not to expect that Bronson's going to be charging around shooting people up. But yeah, solid film.
And then a good movie about the lessons of movie making, where you realize, wait a minute, the first 3 minutes of this movie is the credits, and it's a still shot on the one carving. That's all this is, and you go, 87 minutes to go. There we go.
Yep, very rare to see that anymore.
Fantastic movie though.
Final movie is one that I've seen several times. I actually made my kids watch this one, and this one is actually back into the 70s. So we're back into. I think this is 71, so this is even before Death Wish. This one is Cold Sweat, and of course, this is one of the ones that you can see for free almost on any app. This movie, I don't know what it is. It's Charles Bronson, Jill Ireland, and James Mason. And James Mason and his buddies. Charles Bronson was the lookout driver on a big caper that they're pulling in the military. They ended up killing a couple of guys. Bronson said, nope. He said, you weren't going to kill any people. He takes off. Everybody else gets caught, goes to jail. They're out now, and they're coming to Bronson for revenge. They're trying to get him. This one blew my mind. I thought this one was so well done. It was so much fun, even though it's really funky. It's got that 70s vibe to it. And again, definitely could use a really good remaster. But the best part of this, Michael Considine is also in. He's the nutty hitman in this one. He's the kind of Robert Joy kind of character. He's off his nut, and James Mason is the guy who's leading the whole tirade. But there's a part where James Mason gets shot in the gut, and that's about halfway through the film. And now he's got to protect this woman and the boy, Charles Bronson's from Considine, and he's bleeding out through the gut. And he's kind of like, I have an hour. So now from the time the movie set, it's about an hour, 45 minutes. So I want to say almost in real time. It could be twice that. It could be like within half an hour. Is that James Mason is losing more and more blood. He's getting paler and paler and paler. And as soon as he keels over, Jill Ireland and the boy are dead. So the scenes where Charles Bronson's like he's doing, I think the car chase scenes down the French Italian countryside is the best car chase scene I think I've ever seen. Like it's right up there with The Getaway. It is so underrated for that, but I mean, it's a movie that people see on, and because of the crappy box art they give it, I remember even having a VHS copy that looked like crap. It was all hand drawn and all that. I wouldn't have given it probably. I'm like, oh, that looks terrible. A second glance, but such a good movie. If you haven't seen it, or if it's been a while, definitely revisit Cold Sweat. Again, you can watch it. I think you can even watch it on YouTube for free.
That's going to be the one I check out for sure.
Yeah, well, it's even. I mean, you can go on I was on Tubi to check out. I just typed in Bronson's last name into Tubi, and all of his movies came up. And Charles and Cold Sweat's definitely one of them. But again, if you can get past the funkiness, it almost looks like a giallo, the way it's the shooting in the Italian countryside. So, but Italian French countryside, I should say.
Well, it's a story by Richard Matheson, good writer, and directed by, again, he's working with ex Bond directors, Terrence Young.
Terrence Young. Terrence Young is Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing films as well. Terrence Young, but I believe it's Terrence Young.
Liv Ullmann's in that too. What's wrong with that? I gotta check this one out.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
I remember seeing it when I was a kid, but holy cow!
Yeah, it's been a while, but I think it's actually probably the last Bronson I watched. I watched it with the kids, and actually they paid attention to the whole thing. So. Good. And again, James Mason's awesome in it. So James Mason's awesome in almost everything he does. So, well, no, he is awesome there, even in Yellowbeard. which is also on Tubi, by the way.
Lordy.
So that's our top 5 Charles Bronson films that aren't Death Wish. So
that's not.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Just over an hour. There we go.
Perfect.
We didn't talk about George Eastman, but that's okay.
Oh, you can just put it in there. Just keep recording. We'll go. By the way, George Eastman.
Yeah. Next week, join us for The Barbarians.
Oh, I actually forgot to mention in last week in Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things.
Yeah.
You remember the music video at the very beginning?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's Bruce Dickinson. Before Iron Maiden.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I was reading he had another band that he was a part of. I can't remember, Shit Puck or something like that. Bear Shit, or I can't remember something. It sounded like that. I remember going, oh, that's a weird one. Bear Paw. Anyway, if you look at it, I remember looking at it going, God, that guy looks familiar. And
is that the beginning
really, really
of that,
young.
or is that the? I remember we talked about one with a band in it, but I thought that was towards the end of the movie.
No, it was at the very. Was that one, or was that Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, or was that?
Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things was the.
Yeah, but they're at a. Oh no, sorry.
The Bob.
It wasn't that one. It's not. It's the wrong film. It's rats. It's the one where I saw the poster for Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things in it. And I'm like, oh,
in it,
Incubus.
Yeah.
Incubus. That's where
Incubus.
It was.
Yeah, it's George Eastman. Yeah.
Yeah. Which also has nothing to do with George Eastman, but if we say George Eastman's name enough, it qualifies.
Yes, that's
there
right.
You go.
Oh, yeah, he's the Grim Reaper.
Yeah, we'll get back on the George Eastman train next week.
Yep.
All right.
Awesome. All right, man.
All right. Good one.
Oh, otherwise, pretty free. Anytime you want to do this, just let me know.
Yeah, I'm free. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Wednesday. I got a meeting. I got to be between 4 and 5. But other than that,
what are we gonna do?
Other than that, I'm free to do it. So just come up tonight or propose some movies. So
yeah, okay. And then we got 3 of these done. I'm gonna get one out by the end of the week here.
Okay, I definitely think that this one's probably our strongest because we know the most about these ones. So whereas the other ones were, I guess it's shown to me that I said do my homework and go definitely a lot more interesting than I think that first one. If you watch that, it's pretty light on content other than us talking.
Well, when I'm cutting it for the swears and shit, I'll make a note of the quality.
All right, perfect. Start ad-libbing and start putting cut stuff from other shows into it or something.
Yeah, well, I just don't want to do all the time in and doing one and loading up like with the graphics and like when we're talking about the terrible cold sweat and then throw that up there and then have Facebook or YouTube go, no, you can't use it because that shit's it's like, oh.
Yeah, well, as long the biggest thing is music, so I know the biggest thing is music and clips. So
yeah,
because every time, I mean, you can't do anything with music in the background because they pulled one of my Instagrams because of it. I'm like trying to figure out. I'm like, what the hell did I have that had music or?
Well, I've played stuff like right on the paper's Facebook, but I clearly note, and even if it's not mine, but I note in the comments that it is, and then they leave me alone.
Well, the nice part is the bat is public domain, so we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, the only one they've ever yanked on me is when I literally played the Beatles' Dr. Robert for an intro for mine, and they get that off there, right?
Yeah, they're pretty good at doing that. There's a job you could have.
Whereas if I just said I've added a synth bass part to this Dr. Robert, it's now mine. They'd probably, even if I didn't, they'd probably leave it, right?
I don't know. It's so weird. It's so weird. Like I've only ever had it done twice. One was rather recently, and I can't even remember what the hell the post was. They said we pulled this because of writer content, and I'm trying to remember what the hell was the post. So
I'm cognizant when I share like live video feeds, not live, but ones that were live when they shot them on YouTube and stuff. And it's not that Facebook will throw it down, but a YouTube will see it, and then especially Don Henley, he'll go get that off there, right?
Don Henley's watching, everybody.
Well, he's got some of his documentary. He's got a floor of lawyers that's all they do is look for his copyright infringements. And the guy in the movie goes, they will never get the amount that they're being paid to sit there. Because they're never going to file. They're just looking to remove it off the internet, right?
Which is funny because there's Don Henley going on. I mean, all his music is about how shitty lawyers are.
Yeah.
a man with a briefcase can steal more money than a man with a gun. So I'm like, all right.
And of all the people, it's not like he's hard up, right?
Oh, I know.
Like if I was Timothy B. Schmidt, I'd be like, okay, man, I need some money here. But
yeah. I'd be like, oh, you're playing Cash County in the background? Geez, that's the best thing you could do for me. No one heard that album.
Yeah. It's funny you should say that. I probably got that. Yeah. Here's the one copy sold right there.
One copy sold. Nice. No.
Awesome.
All right, man. I'll probably email you or I'll Facebook you later or something like that and give you some suggestions.
Yeah, I don't mind the themes. It's just I like the alternate too, so we don't just go, oh, it's theme week every week, right?
Yeah. No, just video trash and terror or whatever. Just pick out stuff that we like. Because I mean, a lot of stuff, we're Gen Xers. There's gonna be a lot of people watching this that are Gen Xers that are gonna look at a lot of this stuff too. So, and again,
well, I'm checking some of the shit out right now that aren't the people doing the new ones, and yeah, I think it'll fit right in, right?
Perfect. Yeah, let me see when you're done. Well, I guess you'll just tell me where it is and I'll look at it. But, all right.
Well, I mean, I'll probably just make a Facebook group to start, and then when I get my shit together, I'll make a YouTube channel. But
yep, perfect. Yeah, I'll be
really. I should really do the YouTube channel for work first. They go, "What the fuck are you doing?" But
yeah, this has got a priority. So
yeah, there's movies and heard George Eastman. So.
Yeah, George Eastman, everybody. George Eastman.
And all right, Michael kicks off the first episode by saying Joe Esterhez would suck a lot of beep. All right.
All right, man.
Speaking of Joe Esterhez, he's in the parking lot giving hand jobs. So
everyone line up. All right. Ciao, man. Talk to you later.